First YouTube video. I won't say ever, but in a while. So, we're here to talk about menstrual cups. Hi, welcome to my messy bedroom. I'm just taking advantage of the kids being down. For those of you who've never met me before, my name is Rose. I am a nurse and a, as odd as it may sound, menstrual cup enthusiast, sexual wellness educator, and all around. My friends tease me that my future calling will be life coach. So now that that's out of the way, we've been getting a lot of questions on the menstrual cup boards and sites that I am on. So since I am finishing my cycle and I had some of my stuff already out, I just figured, what the hey, let me just answer some of the big basic questions. I haven't figured out a lot of the editing and stuff, so in the future I may go down and link like particular tags to times, but don't count on it. So if any of you in the comments under this video want to do that, knock yourself out. That would be amazing. Thank you. I hope that this community turns into a beautiful resource for those who would like more information. So let's start with the basics. These are menstrual cups that I have removed the stem from. This is a menstrual cup that is intact. This is another menstrual cup. When it's inserted, it's actually like this. It is also still intact. This is a reusable menstrual disc. Okay, this is a size medium. Luma Unique is one of the brands that I use, and the reason I use them is because I have a low, like medium low to low positioned cervix. So usually I have products that reflect that. I haven't cut her stem off yet because I've only dry run tested her for comfort. I haven't actually used her during my cycle yet. This is a this is the mermaid cup from Marula. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. So here's a couple of the simplest folds. She's opaque, so it makes it a little easier to see. I'm going to highlight a difference. Do you see the holes around the edge? This is a June cup. Marula does not have any holes, neither does the Femicycle, which I showed you earlier. That means that if you're sensitive to suction, be mindful when you use these that you have a good technique for breaking the suction upon removal. So, punch down fold. A lot of people use this as their starter fold, okay? So as you can see on this, I think of it kind of like turning it, I don't know, it almost looks like it turns it into a little Moses basket, right? So if this is your anatomy, and this is the clitoral side, and back here would be where your anus and everything like that is, you're going to take it and fold it, right? So punch down. They say that because you take the lip and you're punching it down to the base, okay? So I usually use two hands when I'm outside the body. When I'm installing it on myself, I turn it this way, okay? So this side is against my skin. So for the ease of the video, I'm turning it this way. So I usually am holding it with thumb and either middle or forefinger when I first begin to insert. I go like this. And I insert it with the flat against my body. Once it's a little bit in there, I usually actually switch to these two fingers, okay? And the reason I do that is because then I can slide it deeper inside. Now, once it's in and I feel the whole rim is inside my body, then I adjust my hold. And even though the vaginal muscles are like pushing against your cup, the rim on these cups is firm enough that it will pop open inside, okay? So if you're having trouble with insertion and sliding it in is difficult, you can get a water-based lubricant and just kind of lube up this edge. I wouldn't recommend lubing up the part that you have turned into your personal handle or pinch hold for obvious reasons, makes it slippery. And then when removing, so we've got this thing up inside, right? So you feel in the vaginal opening for the loop, or if you've cut your stem off, a more traditional cup, sidebar, the ones that do not have suction release holes around the rim, do not ever cut your entire stem off, because it's really important that you're able to wibble wobble it down to the point that you can pinch the base. And that's what releases the suction, okay? Those that you don't have that, a lot of times they have these grip rings. This is actually a textured ring, so you can hear it. If you're sensitive to textures and your vaginal opening is very sensitive, you can actually flip your cup inside out, which then makes this smooth. I don't know that I would suggest that for someone who has a high cervix, okay? Because this might be slippery internally and well lubricated, and then you might have trouble getting it out, all right? So just be mindful. You don't want to have a cup scare, but look, babies come out of there, okay? Our bodies are designed to push things out of your vaginal orifice. If your cup is way up in, don't panic, okay? You can phone a friend if you must, but usually like some deep squats and a little bearing down like you're trying to poop will get this baby low enough that you can reach, okay? So don't freak out. So regular cup inside, it's up in there, right? Vagina should be relatively closed at normal factory setting, right? So you're going to reach up in there and you're going to pinch her. Just get a hold of her. She may be way up in there. If you have a high cervix, then you're going to want to get a hold of your stem and just start. I'm going to open my fingers, okay? You're going to wibble wobble. So just gently kind of wiggle woggle, wiggle woggle. It'll be in there though. And just gently work your way down, okay? By pinching, again, you're forcing a release of that vacuum that might be going on. When I get to this point, so again, we're going to return to our anatomy reference. Clitoris, anus, beyond my fingertips, okay? A lot of times, my cup will be relatively full when I empty it, especially in those first few days, heavy days of my cycle. So when I take my cup out, I intentionally, and that totally hid, so let me move my hand a different way. I'm pulling from up here, okay? Because obviously my arms are the length that they are and they're from my shoulder. So I get a hold of it, and as I pull it out, I actually tip it. See what happens there? See how that is level with my body? And I bring it out. So it will actually, so if that's your anus, it will actually pretty much just pour into the potty as I remove it. Some women, vagina havers, find it helpful to use the shower, and especially if your flow is contained within like a 10-hour period and you're not having to empty this in a public place or in somewhere other than your home, then that's fine. You can do that. First thing in the morning, get up, go straight, jump in the shower, dump this out, rinse everybody off, get everything clean, and then pop it back in. Vaginal cups are safe to use for up to 12 hours. And that doesn't mean it's going to hold your whole flow for 12 hours, okay? And flow dictates the size cup sometimes that you would prefer to wear, but sometimes our anatomy dictates what you can and cannot wear. When I first started using vaginal cups, menstrual cups, there is no way that I would have been comfortable with a large cup. I think that, sorry, that's a bit of lint on there from my bag. I think I would have wigged out. I honestly think that it would have been too nerve-wracking to put it in. I started with this sister right here, this Femicycle, and you can see that the size is very different. What you cannot see is that she's clean, but she's good for, looks like a good hydrogen soak. Anyway, so the rim on these is not significantly different. In my anatomy, my cervix actually, because of how low it is, rests inside the rim. So when I take this out and it's full, it's actually usually only full up to about here because my cervix is deep into here. And that's how I check for placement, is once I have it inside, I actually gently squeeze the base of my cup about midway up, and I can feel the firmness inside it where my cervix is resting inside it. When I use the Femicycle, because it doesn't have any suction release holes, right? So I pop it down and I slide her in transition my fingers, slide her in a little deeper, release, pops open, right? So because my cervix is right here, when she pops open, it makes a seal against my cervix. I'll see if I can get it to do it on my palm. She's actually like suctioned up in there. Okay, so for those of you who have a truly, truly low cervix, where when you sit on the potty for any prolonged length of time, your cervix may be right at your vaginal opening, you can feel it, or you're like barely sticking your fingertip in and you can feel your cervix right here. This girl right here may be your best friend, to be honest. She's my old faithful. I can use her through any day of my cycle, and I really enjoy that one. My discs are my friend for my lighter days. Now, I can maybe use the Luma medium like when I'm sleeping on a medium side kind of day, but because of my anatomy, because I have a lower cervix, and so she's resting down deeper in this, my capacity can be impacted, and then also the way your cervix and your uterus and your vagina all work together, the space around your cervix is impacted by how low, like the length of your vagina is impacted by how low your cervix is sitting. So if you think of your vagina like a tube sock, and the cervix is somewhat positioned towards the toe end, okay? Let me grab a sock out of my drawer just to make it visual. Hold with me. Impromptu. Okay, so sock, mostly worn out for demonstration purposes. Happens to have a pink toe. Okay, so that actually works out in our benefit. So if this is the cervix and vaginal opening, right? So vagina, look up inside there, and you can see the cervix. All of your diagrams show this as a perfect tunnel, right? Well, guess what? Your lady bits are made of little folds and muscles and all of that area. Sometimes it doesn't lay like that. Sometimes you have a little prolapse one direction or another. A prolapsed uterus cervix alignment may look more like this. So when you open up, like girlfriends all kind of resting against the back wall. It could be opposite of that. It could be resting this direction. Okay. So when I talk about catching your cervix, when you're inserting everything, it helps to be familiar with where exactly in all of this your cervix is. There's nothing wrong with putting your fingers in there until you locate your cervix. What does your cervix feel like? I'm so glad you asked. Anybody ever had those gummy lifesavers? Anybody ever felt a gummy lifesaver that's a little bit wet? Ta-da! You found a cervix. Congratulations. Now, the hole on the inside obviously is much smaller. If you have not given birth vaginally, then that hole is a straight circle right in the middle of that cervix, and an average cervix is actually probably about this big. If you have given birth, then it has kind of a little smiley, frowny, like it's a line. It stretches out and it never goes back to that perfect little dimple. The first time I felt my cervix, I felt that slippery, like curvaceous, domed area. But when I found the actual hole of my cervix, it was like not painful, but like a little sting, like, oh, probably shouldn't touch that. That's not comfortable. So if you're feeling that when you're feeling around inside and you're not super familiar with your own anatomy, a lot of times the tissue that covers our pubic bone at the front, so if you're holding your hand flat against the mons of your body and inserting your fingers this direction, okay? So what will be against this part of your hand is going to be like rough and like ridged and just rough tissue, like not a smooth, slippery, like not like the inside of your mouth, okay? So it won't be like sleek, smooth, slippery. It'll be rough and rugged, and like usually if you can hook it, like you'll feel where that disappears, and then it's just like soft, smooth, more like your mouth tissue behind that. But it kind of goes bloop, and that, if you're going to use a disc, is what you're looking for, okay? Because when we put a disc in, I usually actually flatten all this out, fold it in, and I make it skinny. This is seriously tampon shaped, okay? I was never a successful tampon user. Now that I know more about my anatomy, it had to do with the position of my cervix. My cervix is too low and too forward, so when I slide a tampon inside, my cervix is hitting like way back here. If this is the string end of the tampon, my cervix is lining up like right here. Useless. Super useless. So anyway, these are my bestie. Love these. So if we insert into our faux vagina here, if we insert this in, because you're looking to lay this behind the cervix in the little juncture, it's like the cuff, the vaginal cuff at the top where it joins and cups. Imagine your sock again, right? So where the sock turned inside out, you're wanting the cup to rest right there. And then it's also going to hook the rim right behind that rugae area tissue right above your pubic bone. Okay, so this is our cervix. Hello. And it's just going to tuck right there. This back rim is going to go in and behind. It's going to pop open, and then you take your finger and you're going to tick this up and tuck it right behind this bone of your pubic bone, okay? And that's going to hold it in place. So if you don't have really strong pelvic floor muscles, the fact that you're engaging your pubic bone in the front to help hold it sometimes works better for some women, okay? And it's not, even though it's out and deep like this, when it's in, much like the femicycle, this is holding suction. This one is conforming to your body, right? So this is going to be pressed in by your vaginal wall, and then as it fills with blood, it may come, when you take it out, it may come out like being all weird and folded. It's totally normal. Everything's good with that. So back to insertion. You fold it. Got your vagina. Going to insert it into the vagina past, turn our aspect around here, past the vaginal opening, okay? And at that point, you can let it go if you need to. And then I'm going to open up these fingers so you can see. I usually end up sliding it in and pushing it up. So it's going to rest almost horizontal, okay? So when I insert these into my body, because of the vaginal opening, the tissues, the way everything is aligned, all the muscle bands that overlap and layer to create our pelvic floor, I insert kind of at this angle first to get it in past the concentric rings of the vaginal opening. And then once I get it in, then I tip it and I almost push it straight back towards my tailbone. Okay? So this is very much more like a tampon insertion. If you're used to tampons, vaginal discs may be your favorite. So those are some quick rundowns of ins and outs. I showed you the punch down fold. There's literally like 8 or 9 different super common folds. I'll do a whole nother video about the folds. You can find other videos. There's other vloggers who are amazing and have already done great work that I owe a lot of my knowledge to and I appreciate. So yeah, so here's to the first video, educating on menstrual cup usage, removal, my favorite techniques. If you have questions, please throw them in the comments. I will do my best to make another video soon so that I can upload and help educate. And if you need anything else, I'm here. It's just me. Welcome to Rose's Place. Bye.